of the Planning Board. Thank you. I'm Jody Shu, Vice Chair of the Planning Board, and I welcome our Planning Board members and attendees to tonight's meeting of the Dover Planning Board for Monday, February 9th, 2026. Following guidance issued by the Commonwealth in March of 2023 regarding the open meeting law, this public meeting will be held remotely, is being held remotely, and individuals wishing to participate can do so utilizing Zoom video conferencing. And we welcome all of you here. To start our meeting, I guess we begin, Melissa, with a roll call.
Sure.
Is that right?
Yeah. Member Shu? I can do it. Member Shu?
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Here.
Member Williams?
Here.
Member Lynn?
Here.
Okay, and have the record reflect we do have a quorum, and we will, as members join this evening, we'll just jot the times in which that they join the meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. The first item on our agenda on all of our meetings is an opportunity for citizens' comments. We offer public comments allowed at the beginning of each meeting for items not otherwise noted on the agenda. So if you do have a comment you'd like to make and it is not related to one of our agenda items this evening, please raise your hand. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes for comment, and Melissa and Christine will keep track of that. And just please note, if you do make a comment, members of the board will neither comment nor respond other than to ask clarification questions. So I guess we'll start off by seeing if we have anybody who's looking to provide a citizen comment this evening.
Yes, Jody, we do have Michael Savage. I will allow him to talk. You should be all set, Mr. Savage.
Good evening. Hi, Mike.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Hi there.
Yes.
Great. Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I just wanted to comment on two things I heard at the last meeting, which caused me some concern. One is the idea of a limited liability corp, LLC, that owns property in Dover. We've heard from abutters and neighbors that, somehow make assumptions or infer something about the use of a property because it's owned by an LLC. Well, I've looked at the assessor's department, and more than 60 homes in town are owned by LLCs. They are an entirely legitimate way to own a piece of property. It helps manage taxes, estate planning issues, liabilities. In fact, there's an LLC on the agenda tonight. I was surprised at the last meeting where at least one of the planning board members, like a neighbor or an abutter, made some assumptions about the use of a proposed structure based on the fact that the property was owned by an LLC. I would ask that the planning board members do not do that going forward, make such assumptions, and would discourage abutters and neighbors from making similar assumptions. My second point is, I was concerned also that I happen to think that the bylaws in town are more black and white than gray. There's certainly some inconsistencies. I know the planning board is working on those. There are a bunch of bylaw changes coming, but I think generally bylaws are more black and white than gray. At the last planning board, there was an assertion that accessory use is somehow tied to the occupant and not the building owner, when that is in direct opposition of what I think is black and white in the bylaws. Accessory use. If anyone has a different opinion on that, I'd love to hear about it offline. But I think the suggestion that accessory use extends to the occupant and does not extend to the building owner, in the case that the building owner is a landlord, is inconsistent with the bylaws. And I would ask that the planning board not engage in every possible, regardless of how reasonable or unreasonable, interpretation of existing bylaws, because I do believe, as I've said now twice, I think they're more black and white than gray. Lastly, and I know I'm up against time, I would ask that we try and reschedule that meeting that was planned for a year ago with outside counsel to inform all of us, the planning board, those of us that pay attention to the planning board, as to what the planning board can do and cannot do. I think that would help all of us, particularly given some of the new faces on the planning board that have come on the last year or so. So I'll stop there, and thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Appreciate the comments. Any other hands raised, Melissa?
Not at this time, Jody.
Okay, with that in mind, then I think, oh no, Mike, sorry, Mike, I see your hand is still raised, so I thought you were. Okay, with that in mind, then I think we'll move on to regular board business. And our first item up for discussion this evening on the agenda is an approval not required, an A&R plan for 129 Dedham Street. So Melissa, I'll hand it off to you.
Thank you, Jody. I am going to promote the surveyor from Grady Consulting that I have been working with. I do see as he has 2 tiles here, so I'm promoting both of those. I'm not sure which one he's using. And then Mr. Fox, are you also here for the, yep, see your hand up. I will promote you as well. I thought I recognized the name. Okay. So we have, awesome. We have the surveyor, we have Rob, and we also have Mr. Fox. And what I'm going to do is pull up my staff report and share my screen. Let's hope this works. Here. Yes. Okay, good. Zoom's cooperating tonight. Wonderful. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you. So yes, we do have an application that was filed with the planning board for an approval not required subdivision plan. The subject property is at 129 Dedham Street, and the applicant is Amelia Farm LLC. This application was filed on January 22nd by the manager of the LLC, Catherine Walkie. And the purpose of their A&R plan is to subdivide an existing 40-acre lot, excuse me, into 2 buildable lots. The planning board did provide courtesy notice to the abutters. That's our local policy. And obviously the matter is being discussed this evening. I do have a locus plan up on the screen here just for orientation. And folks know the yellow parcel is the parcel we're going to be discussing this evening. And just for reference, where my little cursor is now is the horse barn that was previously approved and under construction by the board. So this is about 40 acres abutting that particular piece. I have the A&R plan here up on the screen. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. This was in everyone's packets. As you can see on the screen, a very light green highlight, which I will follow with my cursor as well, that is highlighting the 40-acre parcel. The parcel now contains a very large conservation restriction that will remain in place and will be part of one of the lots that they're looking to create. The first lot that they're looking to create is labeled on the A&R plan as Lot 7. It's just about 32.63 acres, and it has over 500 feet of frontage on Dedham Street, which is an accepted public street here in Dover. The second lot they're looking to create is 7.45 acres, and that one has just shy of 600 feet of frontage on Dedham Street. So in this particular application, what the planning board is being asked is, can we create this lot out of an existing piece of land that already has frontage available? And the answer is, in this particular case, yes. They do meet the minimum criteria for A&R endorsement, as I just covered up here on the plan. There were 2 small revisions that Rob was going to be making to the plan prior to endorsement. Again, detailed things showing different setbacks, nothing that really impacts my opinion on whether or not they are entitled to endorsement. And he has also included the note that our approval not required regulations, which is very common in subdivision regulations, that in the planning board endorsing this plan, they're not making any determination on zoning compliance. In this section of in the report, like always, we've listed all of the supporting documents and things that we're using to review and make this recommendation to the planning board. This section of the report, basically what I did is I took the subdivision rules and regulations. The A&R section is 248.7. And this is the section of the subdivision rules and regulations that say what needs to be shown on the plan. And I'm not going to go over all of these in any kind of detail, but it's important to note that everything shown in black is in fact provided. This lot is shown in the R2, is in the R2 zoning district and also in the groundwater protection district. That's all noted. As I previously mentioned, the proposed lots will have more than sufficient frontage for the R2 district, one having over 500 and one being just shy of 600 feet. The items that Rob is going to add to the A&R plan prior to the planning board endorsing it is shown here in orange on the screen. There was some of the setbacks that he didn't include, so he's going to dimension those all out for us. Several of them were included, but some were not. Again, not material to the question of endorsement. And the second item was the registry block. So there's a little block that goes up in the corner of the plans, and when the plan is recorded at the land court, they put certificate numbers and dates in plan books. It's basically the recording reference on the actual plan itself. That's kind of the summary of what we're looking at here. Be happy to answer any questions, Jody. I know that the surveyor is here as well as a member of the applicant team. And just in summary, recommending obviously endorsement. The two lots meet the criteria and qualify as the resulting lots have adequate frontage on a public way or an approved private way as defined in Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 41, Section 81L, which is a reference from the state statute governing subdivision control. And then, as always, a suggested motion when we get to that portion of this agenda item. Thank you, Jody, and members of the board.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you very much. That's terrific. Do any of our members, we'll start here, have any questions? Or if I could ask the applicant if there's anything you'd like to add to Melissa's overview of the presentation here this evening. So let's actually start with the applicant if there's anything you'd like to add. You don't have to, but if you want to.
No, I think Melissa pretty much covered everything. Just subdividing one large lot into two lots. Just for the additional lot is just for a new house, so it's nothing crazy. But yeah, I think Melissa pretty much covered it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Rob. Katie, Val, I see Nick has joined. Anybody have any questions? Comments?
No, this seems pretty straightforward. I don't have any comments.
Thanks, Katie. Val, Nick?
No comments from me. Thank you.
Is Nick still? Oh, Nick raised his hand. Is Nick?
I think he might be in the attendees as opposed to
Yeah, I moved him up. Give me a second. I don't know why he. Let me go back and move him up again.
Yeah, he's still over in attendees. Sorry. I thought I saw him.
Yeah, I thought I saw him on the screen
Yeah.
too. Nick, I just moved you again.
That was my fault. I had signed
okay.
in on a different device and then I had to switch over. So
All
sorry
good.
about that.
All good.
I thought I was, anyways. I'm sorry I'm late, but no, I don't have any questions.
Okay, thank you, Nick. Okay, super. Then seeing none, I'll move to any questions from others in attendance. Any others? I think we have agreement that we've got all the information we need. So I think that we can move to a vote on this A&R endorsement. Katie, would you be able to suggest a motion, make a motion for us this evening?
Sure.
You can see the content on the screen at the bottom. Melissa, if you could just scroll up a little bit.
Yeah, Val, we lost Val again too. I just brought her back in. I don't know.
Oh,
what's going
okay.
on.
Sorry,
Val?
I switched
Okay.
from my phone to my computer.
Okay.
I apologize.
Okay.
No, you're
No
good.
problem.
As long as it's not me.
No.
All right, Katie, if you don't mind making a motion for us.
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to, is that right? To endorsement or to endorse?
To
Doesn't really
endorse.
matter. Okay. The
Sorry,
A&R.
yeah.
No, that's fine. That's fine. To endorse the A&R plan for 129 Dedham Street as it depicts the creation of 2 lots that meet the criteria and qualify, as all resulting lots have adequate frontage on a public way or an approved private way as defined by MGL Chapter 41, Section 81L.
Thank you.
Do
Do
I
we have
have
a
a
second?
second? Oh, that's your line.
We're looking for.
Second?
Okay, thank you, Val. Okay, I think we move to a vote. Melissa, can you help us with that?
Yes. Member Lynn,
Yes.
Member Williams,
Yes.
Member Shu,
Yes.
and Member Beam.
Yes.
So
Thank
that's 4-0-0. Awesome. Rob, I'll follow up with you on the Mylar and we can go from there.
Thank you, Rob.
Sounds good, Melissa. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great night.
All right, you too.
Super. Awesome work. Thanks for making that easy for us, Melissa. We'll move on to the second item on our agenda, which is a sign application for 60 Center Street. Do we have the applicant with us this evening, Melissa
I
Simon?
believe so. Yes. Mr. Maloney, I saw your hand up. I will promote you.
Oh, super. Okay, great.
Yep. Great. Okay.
And we'll hand it off to Melissa to walk us through this application.
And of course, my report is not here. Okay. I just like, if everyone could just bear with me. Here it is. Okay. All right. Let's see if I can do this now. Okay. Share. Yes. Got it. All righty. Okay. All right. So, for the board members and those here this evening, this is a sign application for 60 Center Street filed by Melissa Simon of Reen's Kitchen and Catering LLC. She is going to be the operator taking over for the Dover Deli and Pizza, I think was the most recent name, right across from the townhouse there in our little town center. And they're located in a business district. They filed an application on January 22nd for 2 wall signs. This property is owned by Mr. Hughes through an LLC, which is Andover Veritas. No butter courtesy notices required for this particular application. And obviously, we're having the meeting tonight on February 9th. Again, just our overview photo. Everyone's very familiar with this location, right next to the gas station and the Charles River School. Just a highlight here of the zoning map. This is one of our very few business parcels located in the town center. And then what we have in the report here are the markups that Melissa had prepared by her sign vendor. And this is the one that's going on the side of the building. It's about just over 44 square feet in area. And it's a 1-for-1 replacement of what was previously there. Or is that one might still be there too. I know the one in the front was there for a while as well. And then we have right here, over this particular storefront, there is a bank also in this building, as we know. And this one is a little bit smaller, being just about 11 square feet. And you can see they have the dimensions here for the record. So the renderings were nicely done, and they provide the information that we need in order to perform our review. We do have our typical section with the application and supporting materials. And then again, similar, I think everyone's getting kind of used to my format now. I look to the governing regulations and zoning bylaw. In this particular case, we have both regulations and things in the zoning bylaw. So for the regulations, you're limited to 2 signs, which exist, and they're also looking to erect as well. Then we have a section on temporary signs, obviously not applicable. We have a section here, design standards for permanent signs. The first one talks about a freestanding sign, which is obviously not applicable here. Then we get into the wall signs. Wall signs shall be positioned to respect the design of the building and not cover up important architectural details. Typically, the sign should be centered horizontally on the vertical surface to which it is attached. So again, going back to what I had mentioned earlier, the front one is going essentially centered over the main entrance, over their tenant space in the building. And the one on the side is in the middle wall of that side wall. Signs should be proportional in size to the area and they're located. Again, I went back and researched, going back a while to, there was an Olympia's Grocery, or Isabella's Grocery, and then we had Dover Deli, and then they went to the Dover Deli Cafe. So there has been a history going back about 23 years of these signs in these locations at different times. And they are, in fact, proportional, in my opinion. And again, they've existed there for some while without any type of disruption or impacts. Section D states sign colors and finishes should be compatible with the color of the building. And the 2 wall signs proposed consist of colors that match the brick and contain a neutral background that is slightly lighter than the wall color. So nothing flashy, nothing jumping out, nothing that is going to really change the feel or the character of that building, with very sort of colors that already exist in that little structure. Then we get into the zoning bylaw. And there are some additional requirements here. The first one talks about signs in a right-of-way. Obviously, that isn't the case here. Then we get into signs that aren't permitted. Excuse me. Any sign not expressly permitted is exempt. These particular signs are called out as commercial, and they have criteria and zoning regulations as well. We're not dealing with advertising, so that section is not applicable. Section 4 talks about lighting. The signs as proposed do not include any lighting element, so that's not an issue. This number 5 also talks about lighting, not applicable. And then externally lit signs, white light only. Again, there's no lighting here. Number 7 really talks about the placement of signs and them obstructing views. Again, this building is existing and the signs will be located in the locations that they have historically been located. No freestanding sign. This isn't a freestanding sign, but nonetheless, I've kind of just for reference, folks, the front of the building is almost 18 feet from the street. Kind of looks a lot closer, but there's some of that sidewalk and things in the front that are on the private property, and 15 feet from the side, which that one looks a little bit further back, but we have some land associated with the gas station that is between this building and Walpole Street on that particular side. The area of the sign shall be the area of the outmost rectangle. So we don't just take the letters, we create a box. Their renderings reflected that and reflected the full outer dimensions of the entire sign itself. The one on the front being 11.66 square feet and the one on the side being 44.15 square feet. Number 10 talks about non-commercial messages, which is not applicable here. And then we get into the business zone, specifically, which this particular property is located. So it caps signs at 15 square feet. And as I had noted, one is compliant and one is oversized. As you can see here, I did the research. We have the files in the office. I had gone back and looked at some previous planning board decisions. And the planning board in previous applications felt as though the signs as they existed were non-conforming, and replacement in kind, which is being proposed here, will not increase the non-conformity. And Section B talks about if they wanted to do anything on the window glass, which is not proposed, that it cannot exceed 20%, and then 10% of the door. So sometimes they'll put open, or they'll put a little sticker for Uber or something like that, depending on what they're going to be doing at this particular location. Section C talks about freestanding signs. Again, not applicable here. And 2 talks about professional quality and character. And again, very muted backing with a brick tone to the colors. So very well done, very tasteful. And again, brings in the colors and elements of the building. So that basically concludes the report, Jody. I'd be happy to answer any other questions. I know Brian is here on behalf of the applicant team, and I have prepared a suggested motion when the board is ready to move with some basic conditions. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Melissa. I'd love to know if the applicant has anything you'd like to add to the discussion before we move to member input.
No, and I'm here for Melissa. My wife is upstairs with the 3 boys right now, so my shift is down here, and she's up with them, getting them ready for bed. So they're 3, 5, and 6. So
Get your hands full.
Yeah. So no, our family's really excited to to have the space to be able to represent the Hughes family, and we're just excited about being able to get open, which we believe is going to be between middle of March and April 1st, as renovations are now pretty much complete, and we're just waiting on delivery of equipment and install, and the 1 or 2 hiccups that always come along with that. So, but we're really excited, and we'll let the cold get out of here, and hopefully be ready to open when it's spring.
Terrific. Thank you. Members, do we have any questions for Melissa, for Brian, general comments?
When do we get to see the menu?
That is definitely Melissa's position.
My position too.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about our Melissa, but now I see, yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be a regular deli, a lot of homemade. We currently have a farm to table restaurant out in Stowe, Massachusetts, and while this is different, some of that same high quality farm to table homemade is really going to be what we try to bring, along with specialty meats. We do have the ability to do not butchery on site, obviously, but to be able to do steak, chicken, and things that high quality meats from local farms, and things like that. So it will be breakfast, it will be lunch, and a really great catering element for the area too. So
Awesome.
Cool.
Can't wait.
So I'll tell Melissa to get that ready, though. It's a very general sketch that they're working through. So
Any other important questions? Thank you for that one, Katie. Nick, Val. Okay, if none from you,
Well, I was just curious on what materials the sign will be made from. Do you know?
I can go back up and look. We wanted to keep the same style, same footprint on all the signs, and that I don't have right here in front of me, but I can get that from the sign company.
I'm not sure, Melissa. I don't It's a good question. Thank you, Nick. I don't think it impacts our decision making, correct? Because it's not part of our purview.
No, I that's why I kind of scrolled up, because sometimes they give a little bit of detail.
Yep.
And I'm guessing it's probably just a printed panel that kind of just gets attached to the building. Again, it's not lit, so it's likely not that it's, the lit ones are kind of like an acrylic almost like a, not see-through, but so that you can see the light through it. God, I should know what it is. I have probably the same thing on my business. It could even be a metal panel that's just painted and printed on.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions from attendees this evening that you see looks to me like we have 2 and no hands raised. So with that in mind, Val, would you be willing to make a motion this evening if Melissa can scroll down and show us what she wants us to say?
Perfect. Tonight we are approving 2 wall signs from Rain's Kitchen and Catering at 60 Center Street with the following conditions. The signs on the front and side facade shall not exceed the following dimensions or total area. The front is 120 inches by 14 inches for a total of 11.66 square feet. The side is 187.75 inches by 33.875 inches for a total of 44.15 square feet. The signs, as approved, do not include any form of lighting. Any modifications to the signs as approved shall be subject to review and approval by the planning board in accordance with the sign regulations and zoning bylaw.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thank you. Melissa, can we take a vote?
Yes. Member Williams.
Yes.
Member Lynn.
Yes.
Member Shu.
Yes.
And Member Beam.
Yes.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you. Congrats. We look forward to it.
We do.
Great. I know we are ready as well. So thank you very much.
We'll see you in there.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So that concludes the application portion of our business tonight. We've got some other items as outlined on the agenda that Melissa and Christine provided us with. And I'm just wondering if we can move the order just a tiny bit, because I think the discussion of the site plan review proposal will be a little bit meatier, and maybe we can knock out some of the administrative stuff before we hit that.
Sure.
So I'm wondering if we can start with the approval of the meeting minutes from January 5th and January 26th. And just push those up and we'll get that out of the way. And then I think if we...
Excuse me, Jody, I'm sorry to interrupt. If you wouldn't mind taking them separately.
Sure.
Member Beam wasn't with us on the 5th as a member.
Okay.
So it would just be Member Williams, yourself, and Member Lynn
Okay.
voting on those.
Okay,
Yep.
super. So let's start with January 5th then. And can I make a motion? Do we make a motion to vote on these?
We do.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions or comments on the minutes that were provided from the meeting on January 5th, 2026? And I'm referring to the members here, Katie, Val, and Nick.
None.
None. Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as provided to us for the meeting on January 5th, 2026. Can I have a second?
Second.
Great. Shall we vote, Melissa?
Yes. Member Lynn,
Yes.
Member Shu,
Yes.
Member Williams.
Yes.
Great.
Okay.
Those minutes are approved. So we'll move on to the meeting minutes for January 26th. And does anybody have any questions or comments or feedback on those minutes? Proposed edits? Okay, hearing none, I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes as provided to us for the meeting dated January 26, 2026. January 26, 2026. Do I have a second?
Second?
Yes.
And we'll take a vote on those.
Member Shu,
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Member Williams,
Yes.
Member Lynn,
Yes.
Member Beam.
Yes.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so now I'd like to move on to what is noted as item E on our agenda, which is a discussion with board members regarding stipend. Again, this is an administrative topic and we'll hopefully move fairly quickly through it. And then we'll go to F, which is a notice to the Norfolk County Registry of Deeds from the Planning Board. And then we'll circle back to a discussion of Planning Board zoning articles. And I don't think we're going to have much to talk about on funding articles. Okay, so Melissa, take it away on the discussion with the board members regarding the stipend, if you would.
I'm just going to pull up a document. If everyone can bear with me. Here we go. Oops. Okay. All right. And I want to thank Christine. She put together this wonderful form. So if you know, great. If you don't, you get $50 a year as a planning board member to come to 2 meetings a month and make Dover absolutely a wonderful place to live. And the chair gets 100. My understanding is the board members in the past have opted to not take their stipends. And you can take it if you want. We're going to be circulating this particular form that Christine put together to all the board members and ask that you get it back to us. I think Christine said by, February 28th. So this would be for the FY26, the fiscal year that ends in June. And then we'll get in a better routine and do these on a more regular basis. So Christine and I are getting caught up, as you can tell, on a lot of administrative items and just making sure that things that are in place, not in place, et cetera, that they are in fact done correctly. So we will be circulating this. Again, it's up to you whether you want to receive your $50 or not. And if you could get that back to us in a timely manner, that would be very much appreciated.
Thanks, Melissa. For newer members or anybody who wants a little bit of color on this issue, I asked Melissa the question, was there some reason to take it or not take it? And I thought your answer, Melissa, was really helpful to me. I have been on the board for a while and I never knew the answer. So if you wouldn't mind just repeating the information you gave here today.
So there is, and I know enough because I am a municipal employee and I have been the member of a board for 25 years in my own community. And we don't get any kind of stipend. I think there's some type of benefit if you're being paid as an elected or appointed official when you work in a municipality. I'm not exactly sure. It helps somehow with your pension, but that's the only thing that I've ever heard of a reason to take it.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions on this other than make sure you get it back so that they don't have to stalk us? Any questions from our board members on this? Okay, great. Hearing none, we'll move on. We're so efficient. I love this. The item F on our agenda in the regular board business is the planning board membership notice to the Norfolk County Registry of Deeds and Land Court. So Melissa, you could explain that to us.
Yep. And again, I want to thank Christine. She put these letters together with, within very, very little notice and very little instructions from me. So what these letters are, and I'll basically just show this one. They're identical letters. We have 2 sides of the Norfolk County Registry of Deeds. We have the registry side and we have the land court side. And documents like approval not required plans, special permit decisions, subdivision plans, your deeds, things like that get recorded at the registry. And they often come with signatures from planning board members. So we have some new members on the board. We want to make sure all their signatures get on record, both at the registry and the land court. And the other thing that I'm asking the board to do this evening is to allow those plans, approval not required plans and subdivision plans, all they require from a statutory voting standpoint is a simple majority. So we're just asking that the board vote this evening what it says here in the letter, and I will read it for the record. Please be advised that the Town of Dover Planning Board at their meeting on Monday, February 9th, 2026, voted to authorize a simple majority of the planning board to endorse approval not required plans, definitive subdivision plans, and other plans and documents on behalf of the board to be recorded at the Registry of Deeds. And then, as I noted before, we have everyone's signatures in here. So we want to make sure that they know who's in Dover and who's voting on things, and that they have that on record. So we'll be doing this also annually. What we'll probably end up doing is getting into more of a routine of doing it after the election. And after the board organizes. My understanding is they organize after the election. So then once the various positions have been voted on by the planning board chair and vice chair, Christine will have the form letter now. We will just update it and do this on an annual basis. Thank you, members.
Thank you. Any questions that board members might have? I have one question just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Is there ever a case where we need more than a simple majority on an issue? That would come before us from a subdivision or anything like that?
Not on those plans. No.
Got it.
No.
Okay.
No. The
Well,
only
thank you.
thing that would require 4 is a special permit decision, which the planning board does very, very few of those.
Yeah.
And in then that particular case, the vote is a 4. You need 4 to get it passed
Okay.
anyways. So obviously,
It's
but all
different.
these other items, sometimes it's tough to chase down signatures and things
Yeah.
like that. When everybody met in person, it was great. We just had the plans there and
Yeah.
everybody just signed
Got it
everything.
done.
So just people have lives, people have jobs. Not everybody hangs out at town hall all day like I do. So just trying to be efficient.
Well, once the new Rain's Kitchen is
Rain's
there, we're gonna be
Deli.
hanging out there all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. That's super helpful. So, great. We've gotten sort of behind us then some of the administrative stuff, and we're left with a little bit more meat, and that would be, Melissa, I'll ask you, would you want to have any discussion about planning board funding articles for town meeting, or do you feel like we can?
I'm sorry, Jody, before we move on, can we
Oh,
do
we
this?
have to vote on that?
The vote, yeah, just that
Right.
paragraph right there. If somebody would like to make a motion starting at to authorize
Nick,
after
will
the
you do
date.
that? Or I don't know if Nick. Okay, I didn't know if you could see it. Okay.
I'm
So you're
starting
making
it.
a motion to authorize.
Okay, I am making a motion to authorize the signatories for the town of
Can you
You
board.
can
see
read
the,
it right from the screen, Nick.
Can you see it on the screen? Because otherwise, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot if you're not right in front of a computer.
Please be advised that the town or this authorization section. Where do I start?
Right above it. So just saying, make a motion to authorize a simple majority, et cetera, line 2 there.
Okay, I make a motion to authorize a simple majority of the planning board to endorse approval not required plans, definitive subdivision plans, and other plans and documents on behalf of the board to be recorded at the Registry of Deeds.
Perfect. A second?
Second?
Val, thank you. We'll take a vote. I vote yes. Jody Shu. Katie?
Yes.
Val?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, great.
Okay,
Now-
I don't, hold on. We have to do one for the land court too. Sorry.
Oh.
Sorry.
No
I just
worries.
don't want to do something without the board's
No, I
authorization.
totally get it. So we need a
Thank
motion
you.
for this one too. And Nick, since you're clearly a pro, same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I motion to authorize a simple majority of the planning board to endorse approval not required plans, definitive subdivision plans, and other plans and documents on behalf of the board to be recorded at the Registry of Deeds.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thank you, Val. Jody Shu, I vote yes. Katie?
Yes.
Val?
Yes.
And Nick?
Yes.
Great. All right. Got those done nicely. Thank you, Melissa and
You're welcome.
and Christine. Okay, so Melissa, I'll defer to you. I know that we have 2 items on the agenda, one for a discussion about planning board funding articles and one for zoning articles. I heard you say that we might not have a whole lot of discussion to be had around funding articles at this point. So let's start with that one. And then if we do, we'll keep talking. And if we move on, we'll go right then into zoning articles. How's that sound to everybody? Great.
Thank
So
you,
let's start
Jody.
with D, continued discussion, annual town meeting 2026 planning board funding articles.
Thank you, Jody. I don't have any new information today. I am continuing to work on items of relevance for support of our master plan request. So I'll have some more information about that, as well as the presentation that I'm going to be putting together. I'm going to be going to the warrant committee on the 25th of February. So we'll have that presentation for the board members to take a look at our next meeting, which is a couple days before that. So nice timing for that.
Great.
Thank you, Jody.
Thank you. Any comments from any members of the planning board regarding funding articles? I think not. So we'll move to a discussion of the planning board zoning articles. And Melissa, if you could lead us in that discussion.
Yeah.
And we have the site plan review.
Yeah, so before I get into my share screen, everyone has had a chance to, let me just get my folder out. I got a couple folders here. I had shared at our last meeting sort of a markup of my, I wouldn't even really call it a first draft. It's kind of just the first maybe cleanup. And really the goal in doing that was to be able to create some kind of questions and comments that we have in the draft here to be able to get direction and input from the board members. Believe me, I love writing zoning, but I'd like to try to get as much input as I can on direction so that I can draft in that specific direction that the board does like. So since our last meeting, I've had an opportunity to sit down with Val last week and to go over the partial site plan review stuff. And I want to thank Val for her time and her comments. And then she also was able to send me some follow-up comments that I haven't had a chance to review yet on the full site plan review. Also was able to receive comments from member Shu. We had an earlier discussion really early on when we started this briefly, and also received some comments from her today as well. Katie and I talked a little bit early on. Katie, I would still love some more feedback now that you have sort of the draft and what I'm thinking about, particular things and how you feel about that particular direction. And then
I didn't know what the deadline was, but I definitely am going to
There's
get
no
your
deadline.
comments. I'm definitely going to get your comments.
Yeah, I appreciate that. There's no deadline, and I understand people are busy and they have work. If anybody wants to meet in person or do a Zoom, I'd be willing to even be available off hours if that works for people. Sometimes it's just easier to have a dedicated time than having to rush to a meeting or pick somebody up or whatever it might be. And would love to hear some comments, obviously, from Nick. He's our newest member, but does work in the development field. So that can be very helpful. And then also our alternate member, Eric, who unfortunately isn't here this evening. So as I continue to get these comments, they sort of get in my brain and they help me with some direction. And I'd be happy to, Jody, I don't know if you want to go over comments this evening or if you want to maybe, I'll leave it to you what you want to do. I can pull the document up.
I guess I would flip it back on you, Melissa, because I think what we'd like to be able to do is to give you feedback in a way that's most helpful for you. We could go through and talk about the comments that you have in the doc and questions that you have that you are still looking for feedback on, or touch on some of these key themes. What would you recommend as the most helpful way to use the time together tonight? I know it's a tricky process.
Yeah, and I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but if somebody has comments that they want to share, that would be great.
Great.
As far as the items that I have called out in the boxes that we covered at the last meeting, just to kind of talk out loud, it seems as if there is a desire to put a little more time and attention into other accessory uses that we don't look at right now, and primarily calling out sports courts and those
Yeah.
types of things. Those are in fact accessory uses. We don't regulate those currently. The way that the use table is written, it doesn't say accessory structures, and the definition doesn't reference just structures either in our bylaws. So when we look to accessory, it really talks about use.
Yep.
So I'm likely going to be moving in the direction of putting together some language, maybe even a couple different types of language.
Yeah.
But at a minimum, I would say that those accessory uses would need to meet the same setbacks as an
Right.
accessory structure. So, I mean, the thought of being able to build a recreation size hockey rink on your property line is something that I know I would be concerned about if I lived in that particular neighborhood or I abutted that. So
Right.
again, as I had made in the last at the last meeting and in talking with some of the board members, I'm really trying to distinguish what can have an impact and what is really very commonly seen with a single family home, and making those distinctions. And again, that's
Yep.
why I've included some exemptions in here for those very regular types of structures, garages, sheds, and just
Yep.
the swimming pool. We get into the big cabana, we get into the horses, we get into the 2-story garage, then we start to get out of the, quote, the norm.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but the more that somebody's going to do in a structure, the more likelihood that there could be some impacts. And again, I think that the way that we've been looking at things and structuring things, or at least how I've been approaching it, is really mirroring it against the zoning bylaw and looking at that review section and our criteria that we have now that we're going to be tweaking a little bit as well. So that was one of the things that had kind of stood out
Yep.
to me is something that I need to spend some time on. A lot of the other things that I had noted in here, it's a lot of cleanup. It's a lot of, as I sit down and talk to the board members, one of the ones, and I am now on page 3 under section C2, and excuse me for the numbering because it gets all crazy in the red lines, where we talk about extension of use. So we have expansion of use, we have extension of use, and we have change of use. So we have been unable to quantify to date extension of use. So we will likely combine expansion and extension into one set of criteria. Again, we just need to be clear on what we want to look at. We don't need to be overly wordy. Clarity and direction is really the most important things in here for when residents are, taking a look at the bylaw. And also, when I get a phone call, Melissa, do I have to file? Well, is it an extension? Is it expansion? We need to be able to very clearly articulate to land use attorneys and residents, surveyors, whoever they might be helping and assisting the residents here in Dover, what our bylaw means and how it applies to them. And that's really kind of a lot of what's going on in the back of my head as I look at this and as I continue to make suggestions to the board so we can clean this up. Trying to think of anything else that really stood out to me. Some of the sections, again, we will be inserting text to mirror what in fact we do as a process. So one of the items is in putting in the notification that we do to abutters as a courtesy. That is a local thing. That isn't something that is prescribed in any type of statutory requirements. So something like that is an example, again, of clarity. So what do I have to do for this partial site plan review? And again, making those distinctions between the partial and the full, which is, I'd call the partial a more scaled back process.
Yep.
Understanding the type of structure we're going to be looking at, mostly in a residential and open space context. Excuse me, and how we would look at those and treat those differently than a business. And I think that's, something that we have consensus around as we continue to work through this. I didn't really have any other questions or comments. Again, the feedback, I want to thank everybody again for the feedback that I've gotten to date. And I guess, the more feedback I get, the better the draft will be that I file with the Board of Selectmen. I think I'm going to be filing that probably in maybe a month or so. And it's the draft obviously can change and will continue to change. We're going to have a series of public hearings and opportunities for public input. I have had some inquiries from the public. I have shared this draft. And I think actually both of them, if they're still on the Zoom, Mr. Savage and Mr. Fryer, and the same message to them. If they have questions or comments, I'm available to meet. Can do a Zoom, come by the office, send me a write-up. The more input I get, the better the draft will be. And then obviously, a series of public hearings, which will allow for additional opportunity if they don't feel like commenting now. We don't have an open public hearing, but this document has been shared with the board. It is a public document, and make those available to the public as requested with the public records laws.
So, thank you, Melissa. I had a couple of thoughts that I just wanted to share, and I mentioned them in an email to you today, and I'd love to see if anybody else agrees here. But one of the things that I think we could really take advantage of is the purpose section of this bylaw in a way that we haven't before, because I really do think that there's confusion, in the public, and sometimes even inside our board, like what is the purpose of site plan review, whether it's partial or full, either way, what is the purpose? And maybe stating that in the bylaw purpose section. In the case of the draft that we're looking at, I wasn't quite clear why we would say that the purpose was to clarify two separate permitting tracks. And I think that's kind of like a process consideration, the two separate tracks. But either way, the purpose of the bylaw itself seems to be paramount. And I feel like if we could work together to articulate that in a way that's like planning board language in like plain language, that might be helpful for residents to understand the assurances that site plan review can provide for like all parties, whether it's property owners, neighbors, like the community at large. Maybe there's a way to do that helps people understand what we're trying to do a little bit better. And maybe it's some of that lack of clarity that has driven, confusion on either a specific site plan review process or just more broadly in the community. So I just wanted to throw that out as a consideration. And then the other piece of it that I'm really honing in on, because in my experience on the board, we've gotten tripped up on this in various ways, is this idea of aesthetics, the word design, which I think might have a different meaning in the context of site plan review than many other people see the word design. Materials selection, just to be super clear about that. And what we mean if we're going to say promote harmony in architectural treatment, like really, do we promote harmony? Is that really a thing that we have the capacity to do as a board? Inappropriate character, like what's that? I mean, that's kind of in the eye of the beholder. I have a lot of ideas, but I'm not sure that they're relevant when it comes to somebody's personal property. If in the absence of, historic district guidelines or something like that, if we lived on Nantucket. So I would love to really take a tackle at that specific issue so that we can avoid the planning board being in the position of sort of treading where we shouldn't be treading or not treading where we aren't treading. I just like clarity on that personally. And I know we can, there's more, we don't have to discuss that in length tonight, but I do think That's something that I just think has come up so many times in Dover, not just in site plan review. And it came up a lot, remember, even with the MBTA community, just comes up a lot. So love to address that a little bit more specifically. And then other comments that I outlined were, smaller, but we can talk about them when the time is right. So thank you for the opportunity.
Jody, those are really good comments, and kind of, again, going back to not only this intro paragraph here, but also in our criteria, where we have 3 different criteria that we basically have very little authority over.
Right. Exactly.
Yes.
I have them in my draft here, and I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's like, instead of having, 10 criteria and, 5 are great and 5 are questionable, let's just make some stronger points that are within our purview. And I think that that's a lot more meaningful from a review perspective and from the perspective of when we make our findings, when the board does.
Yeah, like there's one on, I don't even know what page I'm on, but
I'm trying to,
where we
Oh,
have
here we
like the arrangement and appearance of proposed new
Yeah.
buildings. That's one thing. Structures, colors, and materials, or changes to the aspects. There are times where we've, I think we've all
Yeah, right
benefited
here.
from, we've all benefited from, everybody, for example, in the town center has a lot of opinions, and really, if you live in Dover, I think you really care about the beauty of where we live, and we all want to be protective of it, but there's we just need a little bit more clarity as planning board members, I think, and as a community, and what that specifically entails. Any other comments this evening that any of our members would like to contribute here this evening? I know we're going to continue this conversation. Melissa, could you remind me for a bylaw edit, which is essentially what we're talking about, what are our requirements in terms of, do we hold a public hearing?
Yes. Yep.
And when
So
would
I
that
will-
be, like April or something like that?
Yes, Jody, yes. So excuse me. This zoning amendment, frankly, it's no different than the process that we did for the MBTA. It's regulated under state statute. We don't have a section in our bylaw that regulates it. And I will circulate. I've started to populate some of the dates. I had done a memo for the MBTA that kind of backed into all of the dates leading up to town meeting, as far as when we're going to file this with the selectmen.
Right.
And then they have to refer it back to us. Then we also need to advertise in the newspaper for 2 weeks. And we also need to notify abutting towns, MAPC, and the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. So it's a document that we're going to use forever on all our zoning amendments that just lays out the dates. So that's on my radar as well.
Great,
I was
thank
just
you.
I'm probably going to file it sometime in March, so that then they can get it back to us, and then we can get going on the advertisement and be able to say in the legal notice on file with the town clerk. And just as I did with the MBTA communities, as we work through drafts, those are also put on record with the town clerk as well. And we'll be working on creating a page on the website too.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
I think it's a good topic to split feedback from on. So glad we're having there's a public hearing about it when it comes to this topic, because of formal and that is on hand. You have an opportunity to elicit feedback from residents on what the purpose of the town planning board is, and should hopefully educate a larger group of the community than currently understands the purpose.
Thank you. Melissa, is that helpful at all? Or we just
Yeah, no,
babble?
honestly, I mean,
Okay.
everyone's got a different way that they give their input. I
Yep.
appreciate all of it. The purpose comments were excellent, Jody. And like I said, I've got, Val and I had talked about a lot of things, and she sent me some follow-up stuff. And again, whatever format works for you works for me, whether you want to write it, whether you want to talk and I write, like I'm flexible. And sometimes it's not even about a comment. It's just like about talking things through and having a discussion about things that kind of either provide clarity or, you kind of like, oh yeah, that makes sense, or not second guess, but just kind of, putting things into perspective when we talk about these out loud. And I chuckle, I keep going back to that extension of use. I think in my comment, I said, subjective and open to interpretation. Should we be saying intensification? How is this measured? And is there a past example? So, I just, again, back to your point, Jody, and I think Nick chimed in on that, providing clarity and people setting expectations and people understanding, what are we going to be doing at this meeting? What are you going to be looking at? Because I think that also, we have a lot of very sincere, genuine people here in town, and they put a lot of time into their applications. And if they know what we're going to be looking at, they can focus their energy on their application on those particular items.
Great. Thank you. All right then. So I think we are ready to move on to the town planner update. If there's anything that we haven't covered in our agenda, that's item 3. Oh no, 4.
Yes. So thank you, Jody. I did circulate it today. I do want to announce for the record that we received our district compliance notification from the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. And when I saw that letter, I just felt so proud to be part of this Dover team. And I still remember interviewing for the job and watching the Zoom meetings and saying, who's this lady, Jody Shue? She knows a couple things. And I was impressed then, and I continue to be impressed at how the residents here in Dover really participate and give their time on boards and committees. So I was delighted. I didn't think we were going to hear that quickly. So not only do we have the Attorney General's approved to form, we have the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. So a huge win for Dover. And again, just really proud to be part of this team. Update on our tree bylaw. I had an opportunity to speak to our accountant, so we're clear on the money, where's it going, where's it coming from. And I've also passed that off today to Nina Pickering Cook to do a legal review of the contract. MAPC has a standard contract that they use. Sometimes it missing a few things that local municipalities like. So she's going to take care of that for us. Last Thursday, Christine and Carol and I went over to the Council on Aging. They had the talk of the town with the town planner. And I think there was about 6 residents there. It was a small group. But we talked about updates and what has been going on in the department. We mentioned that we submitted the MBTA stuff and had the AG approval. We talked about our tree committee and the work that Val is doing. We talked about the housing task force and the housing consultant study and plan, which I'm now the project manager for the town of Dover. So very excited about that. And we also talked about the online permitting. We informed them, it's like all new staff. We have some new board members, so we updated them, let them know that Nick was appointed as a full member and also Eric, and we encouraged their support at the town caucus and to attend and participate in that government activity. I'm excited to go. I've never participated in a caucus before. Frankly, I didn't know that people still did them. So I'm looking forward to that. And then we updated them on our planning board articles for the upcoming town meeting, including the master plan and the site plan review. Those are the two that we covered. So it was a great opportunity to sit down with some of our seniors, and we received a lot of good questions and positive feedback as well. Warrant committee prep is full on. I am going to be working on the presentation all week and working with Jody on that. If any of the board members would like something added, I will circulate it to everybody as well. Feel free to provide me any feedback. And then obviously continuing on the site plan review. And I have to make minor tweaks to the ADU stuff. It's so small, I haven't even gotten into it yet, but I need to, so I will. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Super. Okay. Chair update. I have no updates to report other than I hope our mom comes home soon from Australia.
I actually, if I can interrupt, Jody, when we got the letter today, I'm like, Christine, oh my God, we were so excited. I'm like, I can't even believe this. I'm like, oh, go look at this. Like, I almost couldn't even believe that we got it so quick. And I called Carol, and she was in the airport in New York. So she's ecstatic. I don't know what better news you could get as you're about to embark on a 35-hour plane ride across the world. So she was very happy.
Great.
And we shared our excitement. So
well, thank you for calling her. That was a great
yes,
idea.
all good things. I couldn't stand that we all knew and she didn't.
Oh, I know, that's true. That's the only I have no other updates other than to say that I'll be back here in Carol's absence at our next meeting, which is February 23rd. And Melissa, if you just want to, you see it here on the agenda, folks, future business coming down the pike, a shed on 3 Tubrick Drive, a plunge pool on Strawberry Hill, an ADU on Wilsondale, some potential modifications to 15, 17, and 19 Strawberry Hill, and a water pump building at 107 Dedham Street. So keep your ears out. If anybody hasn't had the chance to connect with Melissa on OpenGov and has any questions, I highly recommend. I spent some time with her today on Zoom, and she cleared up all my questions. And now I feel like I can sort of, find my way around it at least and understand how incredibly it's going to transform our work. So I really also just want to say to Christine and Melissa, thank you so much to both of you for leading our department on this initiative and actually being such leaders across the whole of town government, because it really is an incredible resource. And I can't imagine a better duo to help get the town up and running on it than the two of you. So thank you for all the work.
Thank you, Jody. I do plan on doing a little tutorial. I just wanted, I know that Nick has his town email now. Just want to give him a chance to get acclimated and get signed up there in the OpenGov. And we're still waiting. We have some licensing issues with Google. I stay out of that. So as soon as everybody's on there and has a chance to, and again, as Jody mentioned, if anybody wants to give me a call, we can do a quick tutorial. Once you get in there and stop playing around with it, it kind of all comes together. I was intimidated at first too. Where do I click? Where do I go? But it's very user friendly once you get in there and you know where to find our stuff.
Great. Okay, well then, if nobody else has other items to discuss, I think we did a pretty good job here. And I think we can, I make a motion to close the meeting of February 9th, 2026. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We'll take a vote. Jody, Shu, yes. Katie?
Yes.
Val?
Yes.
And Nick?
Yes.
I hear them. Okay. So I think we're great. We'll all be in touch, I'm sure, but we'll see each other
over
again.
Wi-Fi.
I know. We'll see each other again on the 23rd and look forward to being in touch between now and then. Thank you for everything, Melissa and Christine. Have a great night.
Thank you all as well.
Thanks.
Good night. Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Bye.